and welcome to DaniV Covers. I'm DaniV. So, Happy New Year, it's 2022. Wishing you guys all the best for this year and so many more and beyond 2022. Yes, I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded anything, but again, it's a new year. You have a lot to look forward to, and so do I. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you what it is you guys have in store for the new year. Well, I will be doing movie, TV, and anime reviews going forward, and I'll continue doing my song covers. That's how I started, and I'll continue with that. I've made a few commitments to family and friends, so I want to be able to meet that and hopefully exceed it this year. And I will do something new as well. I love to manage my hair. I've got curly hair. It ain't curly right now, but I would like to share with you the hair products I use and what it is I do. I ain't gonna be naked on TV. I ain't doing that, but it's something to share with you guys that I'm looking forward to. Now, without further ado, here's my first review. I'm going to be talking to you guys about Emily in Paris. Now, spoiler alert, if it is you want to watch the show and you haven't yet done so, please go on to Netflix and watch it and then come back to listen to what I have to say. Or if not, and you just want to hear me ramble on about Emily in Paris, feel free to stick around. Now, first things first, it's pretty simple. Quick synopsis about Emily in Paris. It's about an American woman living in 2020's Paris and navigating work and life. Now, it's rough to navigate and be an adult. Adulting is hard, but she's doing it in Paris, which makes it even harder because she's an American and there are a lot of cultural differences and, you know, nuances to life in Paris that is really different, even for someone like myself. I'm from the Caribbean, so I know it's going to be challenging, but for her it's even more so because she's actually there. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so my dogs are not going to calm down, so I apologize in advance if it is you hearing dogs barking in the background. There's not much I could do about it, I'm sorry. But anyway, so there are a couple of things that I'm going to be focusing on with regards to this review. Firstly, of course, the why in terms of why Emily's there in the first place. She has been asked by her company, the Gilbert Group, which is now the parent company for Savoir, a French marketing firm. That's the reason why she's there. She's going to handle that merger in terms of managing the culture and the business side of it in terms of marketing. And I'm just going to talk about that merger, how that's going. I'm going to be talking about her relationships with her superiors, her co-workers, and even her friends and the dads that she has in seasons 1 and 2. And we'll talk about the fashion a little bit. I'm no fashion expert, but I'm just going to share my thoughts on the matter. And here we go. So as it relates to the merger of the Gilbert Group and Savoir, Gilbert Group being an American firm and Savoir is a French firm. How they portrayed the merger in season 1 and unfortunately season 2, it's not left to be desired, but I'm just curious to know if the intent was supposed to be a hostile takeover or they just totally mismanaged the merger of Savoir into the Gilbert Group, because it's an American firm taking over a French company, and while I understand that there may be different business practices and there needs to be a proper integration and acceptance by the French people of the American standard for those business practices, there are definitely cultural nuances and differences that exist between America and the French that seems to show a level of disrespect, as far as I'm concerned, between from the American group, in the sense that the senior executive who was meant to go unfortunately got knocked up, and as a result they sent Emily. And I thought it was kind of unfair to leave Emily with that burden as a single person as opposed to a group going to Savoir and handling that merger to ensure that Savoir is properly integrated. And I'm not just talking about the business, but I'm talking about the people, to ensure that they are treated with kindness and respect. And unfortunately that definitely does not come across in season 1 and 2. As I said, I'm not too sure if the intent was supposed to be a hostile takeover with the intent of what ended up happening in season 2, in that Sylvie, who is the head of Savoir, and her French team deciding to resign and taking the entire French, well, I'm not too sure if it's the entire French clientele, but definitely the big name brands that help keep Savoir in business. I'm curious to know what's going to happen in season 3, as season 3 is already greenlit. I am curious to see how the Gilbert Group is going to handle not having the French team on board and I'm curious to see how Sylvie's firm, which is still to be officially founded with a name and ethos and that kind of thing, I'm curious to see how they're gonna handle themselves separately, and if they're gonna be in competition with each other, or if it's gonna end up a situation where they end up remerging. I don't know if that's a word, but if they end up coming back together to actually move forward as a team, that would be interesting to see. Moving forward as it relates to Emily's relationships. When it comes to her relationship with Sylvie, of course Sylvie is a bit mean to Emily in season 1 because, again, she's bringing the whole Gilbert group beatitudes and policies with her, and she is going to have her guard up, and it's only understandable. But I think Emily is warming to Sylvie, and similarly Sylvie to her. Sylvie gave her some pretty good advice in season 2 in the sense that embrace your time in France. Don't just treat it as a fly-by-night experience. Embrace living in France and living it abundantly. I think that's the best advice she could have given her in that moment. And at the end of season 2, you really do see the respect Sylvie has for Emily with regards to Emily's skill set. Emily has an ability to persuade people, to get them to do things that they may not necessarily be comfortable with, but it is the right move for their own business, for their client's business, and of course for Savoie's business. And she has a way to be able to get a win-win situation as the final outcome, which is something that Sylvie obviously appreciates and shows her respect for her and offers her a job at a company that is still to be named. I appreciate Julian's and Luke's interaction with Emily. You can see in season 2 that Julian has definitely learned a lot from Emily. Emily has definitely rubbed off on Julian. Emily has made a bit of a faux pas. Julian decided to toe the line, another ship reference, toe the line and fix, I don't like to use the word fix, but I'll use it in this case, fix Emily's mistake. And the reason why it's such a big deal is because this happened over a weekend, and I'm not sure if you're aware. If you've seen the show, that then you are aware, but in France it is illegal to work on a weekend. I can't remember when it became official law, what year it became official law, but yeah, it's illegal to work on France on a weekend, and she made that mistake on a weekend, and they needed to fix it. And given the clientele that they're dealing with, once you know your customer, you have to manage them accordingly, and that's exactly what he did. Emily's relationship with Luke is more on the friendlier side of things, not so much the business. He's trying to help her embrace the French lifestyle, which is to enjoy life. For her birthday, he took her to a cemetery to help her realize that death is a part of life and we need to live life abundantly. At least that's my interpretation of that particular clip and that scene. Now there's a love triangle between Emily, Cami, and Gabriel. Again, Gabriel is her 4th floor neighbor who she developed a crush on, and in season 1 she gave him a heated kiss, then subsequently learned that he's in a partnership with Cami, and despite that she kissed him again, and at the end of season 2 slept with him. And she only slept with him not just because she was passionate for him. She thought he was leaving Paris to go to Normandy, and lo and behold, hey, he got an investor for his restaurant and decided to stay in Paris. But not just for that. In season 2 you learn that he actually decided to stay in Paris for her because he wanted to pursue a relationship. And sadly, because he decided to stay and Cami was concerned and she knew something was off with regards to him staying and not attempting to rekindle their relationship, Emily is so adamant to keep them together. And she does all that she can to keep them together, to the point where at the end of season 2, when she has the option to stay in France for more than a year because of Sylvie's offer, she rushes to him, to his apartment, and say, yes, I've decided to stay with you because I think I might be staying in France for a lot longer. That's really the only reason why I decided to not stay in France. Sorry. Not to be with you, is because I knew it was only going to be for a year, and then she got hit really hard. He decided, say, here what? You do you. You want me to go back to Kami? No problem. I'll go back to Kami. I've decided to move in with Kami. And that's how season 2 ended on their relationship. In Emily's efforts to immerse herself into the French culture, she decided to go to French classes in season 1. And while at the beginning of season 2, she thought she was going to be moving forward to level 2 in French, because she wasn't putting in the work, your girl had to stay in level 1. And this is where she meets Alfie. Alfie's a darling of an Englishman. Really handsome. And very straightforward, which is what I like about him. And he has realized that, based on observation and based on conversations with Luke, that, hey, there was a tryst happening between her and Gabriel. He asked each of one of them separately about it. They each said, oh, there's nothing there. We had a dalliance once. There's really nothing there anymore. Don't worry about it. But we all know that Emily still has her eyes on Gabriel. I am curious to see if she is going to stay with Alfie in season 3, because he has laid it all out for her. He is interested in her, and he thinks it's something worthwhile pursuing, and is willing to take that train ride from England to Paris. The question is, will Emily pursue that relationship in earnest, and doing it for the right reasons? Because I think if it is she pursues that relationship with Alfie, it may not necessarily be for the right reason. It might be, he might be her rebound, and I think Alfie would deserve a whole lot better than that. And if it is they decide to have her do that, there's definitely gonna be some drama, and it's gonna implode. So I'm here for it. When it comes to the fashion now, growing up, I never seriously thought of how fashion could really impact the personality of a character. I mean, we all do it every day without realizing it. And growing up, it was never a thought in my mind. And now I realize the importance of using fashion and color to really bring out someone's character and someone's personality. And you see it pretty clearly with all of the key players in this show. I'm particularly keen on Sylvie and Emily. What I like about Sylvie is the fact that the wardrobe choices that are selected for her, it's very elegant, very sexy, it's low-key, but yet very simple, and it suits her character so well, because she wears these articles of clothing with an air of confidence that when a woman like that walks into a room, you just have to pay attention to her, you know. The contrast of Emily versus Sylvie is that Emily is full of optimism, and the clothes and the colors selected for her, I think, represent that really well. But I really do admire the team who put that kind of effort and thought into the wardrobe that each cast member wears in this show. Me, for season 3, I am looking forward to seeing all the characters, all the key players in this show develop to be better people. I mean, for me, that's what makes a really great show, to see the characters develop. Without the characters developing, what's the purpose of this show? That's just me. And I would love to see Emily commit to a decision and accept the consequences of that decision, whether it be good or bad, and embrace what life has to offer, good and bad, especially the bad, because with the bad things, it allows you to grow and develop as a person, and it only makes you stronger. So I hope that we get to see that in season 3. Yeah, I'm here for it. I didn't think I'd have said that, but I'm here for it. So tell me what you guys think. Like the video and subscribe. Bye. I feel kind of out of sorts because I had to fill these gaps with fixing things, so I feel a bit out of it. But I'm gonna power through. further.